exactly as Pete's saying there, because our ascent in the morning, or our first 2 ascents were overcast, we probably weren't drinking as much as you would on a non-overcast day, in the heat of the sun, because it does get really hot, baking hot. How fit do you have to be to do it? Without blowing my own trumpet, I'd say you have to be fairly fit. It's a long day in the saddle. I think we did it 8 hours or something.
9 hours moving.
9 hours moving.
But probably a total of
15,000
11 hours.
15,000 feet, 85 miles.
85 miles.
So it's a big day.
Yeah.
I've done centuries before, but nowhere near that amount of climbing in the similar sort of mileage. And like I say, that's 15 miles less at 85 miles. So yeah, I think you have to have a decent level of fitness. It's not to be undertaken lightly.
It's a stamina. For me, it's a stamina.
Yeah.
It's a stamina type of climb, because it's the longevity of it. I love climbing. I'm at my happiest when it's a steep gradient and going on. But I was feeling it coming on that third ascent. If you go out and do 100 miles and 10,000. There's a big difference between 10,000 and 15,000, but on the other side, the gradients are steep, but there's no sharp ramps. So you don't suddenly find when you're on tired legs that you're up to 15, 16, 17%. So it's a stamina rather than any bits of real brutality.
I think there's one hairpin from Bedouin that ramps up. I don't think it goes to 15, but it is only maybe 100 yards or so. So it's just a slog with your legs, but yeah.
For me, it's different to these two guys. You've got to be fit, but I've never done more than 10,000 feet in a day. So to do 15,000 feet in a day, I don't think it's stamina. I think it's mental strength. And if you pace yourself, even if you're doing 3 miles an hour, you've got to do at least 3.5 miles an hour, or potentially you run out of light. For me, if you've done 10,000 feet, you can do 15,000. And I didn't want to do it. I'm only doing it because these idiots were doing it, and I thought it couldn't be done. But you really have to get your head, for me, around that mental, focused planning, pacing. Because if you get your pacing wrong, there'll come a point where you just want to give in, and that's the point where the mental strength has to come in to say, I have to keep going, I have to keep going, I have to keep going. And I wouldn't do it without I wouldn't do it without that mental strength. I know at some point I'm going to hurt.
Any particular training or preparation that either of you guys did?
Just saddle sores, really.
Yeah.
just keep
getting the mileage
cycling,
in.
getting the mileage in. Probably
Richard, you do hills anyway, so
we're lucky. We live in Yorkshire. There's plenty of hills, you know. So in terms of the gradients, they're shallower than the lot that you get in Yorkshire. But of course, the Yorkshire ones, you're only going 2-3k.
Yeah.
If you're doing long flat rides, if you haven't got hills near you, I don't know what sort of training you do, because it's a totally different game. But for us, it was a longer day of what we normally do, I think.
I think just touching on sort of preparation actually for the day as well. We all fed well before we set off in the morning. Before leaving the motorhome, our base. We all filled up with loads of water. We had good food the night before. Took on loads of fluid on the morning. Took on plenty of food in the morning, as well as taking stuff with us. So we were at a right level to set off, which I think is important, because you could quite easily catch yourself out. Chalet Renard and Leotard.
Well, we had food.
During the summer's fine. on our first attempt
winter,
in March,
they weren't open in
they
winter,
weren't open.
so you have to carry.
Exactly.
If you're doing it, you're doing it early season,
which could be another couple of kilos in the
you
backpack.
really need to carry something in terms of food.
Yeah.
Because the only chance you'll get food is when you get down to the bottom. Once you've set off on the ascents, you'll have no food at all, and that's really when you need it. When you're going up those big hills for 2.5 hours is a good average fit human being. So you're in the saddle for 2.5 hours, pumping. You're definitely going to need to take fuel with you.
But at the same time, within the season, within the tourist season, there's plenty in Malacen, plenty of salt, plenty
in
of
the villages.
So you've got them all at the bottom of the descents.
Yeah.
There is a restaurant at the top. It's a bit more of a formal restaurant, but there's also a small shop where you can get water and juice and bars, and then the Chalet Renard and the stopover the other side. So as Pete says, you definitely need to carry something, but you don't need to take your food for the day.
Yeah. No, you're right. And we bought food at Chalet Renard. Bear in mind, it's at the top of an iconic mountain, full of tourists. It wasn't a rip-off. There was decent food. The queues weren't too bad. The day we went, it were even masks and all the rest of it, wasn't it? Because it's still of this COVID
thing, isn't there?
But yeah, we got a couple of cokes and a flan and a tart or something. It wasn't a great deal, might have been a tenner, something like that. So, yeah, good. What sort of logistics are involved? What time? We'll touch on that in a sec. Time of the year, where to stay, and bike hire. In fairness, we took our own bikes, so bike hire, I don't know. Though I do know there's loads of shops.
In Bedouin alone. Malacen
had a lot.
I got free water when I went down from and that's big up to the shop in Malacen. I just asked if he sold some water, and they did top up my water in Malacen. So there's certainly bike friendly in Malacen and Bedouin. There's no bike facilities that I'm aware of in Salt.
Not that Salt is a smaller village. And I'm not aware of anything there. With regards to where to stay, I know a friend of mine got an Airbnb near Bedouin, but there are, I think, like, there's campsites, there's gîtes and hotels and lots of stuff in, I believe, Malacen and Bedouin. So again, it's just a case of Googling. I wouldn't know any myself. What time should you plan to start and expect to finish? Expect to finish is obviously down to your personal level of fitness, as we touched on earlier, and stamina, etc., and ability on the bike. Though the rules state you've to do the 3 ascents
within a 24-hour period, but it has to be the same day.
It has to be the same day,
from midnight to
24-hour
11:59.
period. So yeah, as Richard says, midnight day on the day to 11:59 on the day. What time should you start? We kicked off early. If you want to go mega early, I think a 3 a.m. start gives you 5 a.m. or 5:30 sun up or something like that.
Sun up this time of year were 5:30.
Right.
I mean, if I hadn't done it with these guys, I'd have been setting off at 4 o'clock with lights.
What time did we set off?
We set off at 6:15.
Yeah.
The reason why I would do it is I hate high temperatures. I'm quite comfortable at dark in terms of climbing. There's no speed issues, so by the time you get up the first ascent at 2.5 hours, I would be happy to do it all in dark. So what you would miss is you'd miss a lot of the views that these guys would have seen. So I'd set off early. I'd have big rests between each ascent and bottom, whereas a fit person could do it very quickly.
Well, we saw a couple of young lads that had done it in
6 hours.
6 hours, but they looked to be strong. Strong riders and young.
So strong riders could do it in 6. I would think a good amateur would do it in 9. But somebody who's really wants to make it not a half day or a day session could actually do it over 12, 13, 14 hours with a bit of stuff in the dark. and that would probably make it less taxing.
If you
because you're fresh going up each ascent.
If you wanted to save on your temperatures, like Pete's saying there, you could set out early enough in the morning to miss all the higher temperatures, and take the middle section of the day out to rest somewhere before doing the last section later on in the day, given that you've still got the 24-hour period, and hopefully it'd be cooler on the third ascent. We did 1, 2, 3 straight after each other. As we've said, luckily the second ascent was overcast enough to make it bearable. Yeah.
I'm not an early starter, so 6 o'clock for me is very early, and I did it in 7 hours 50 minutes, I think, moving time. I was back down about 3, so in theory I could have gone later, but I was really pleased that Pete made the call to go early, because a couple of points, coming off at 3 o'clock in July, it was damn hot. So
if you'd been climbing in that,
if you'd have shifted that back 2 hours, you'd have felt it. The other thing was, of the 3 climbs, we did it on a Sunday, obviously a weekend. The first climb was by far the quieter. There were other cyclists out. It's not that you're crazy if you go out early. You see some people going out 3, 4 o'clock. It's not uncommon, but it was noticeably quieter on the roads. Other cyclists as well as cars than the 2 climbs later in the day. I've also got a friend who went out with lights and timed it so he got to the summit for sunrise, and he said the sunrise from the top's absolutely spectacular.
The views from the top are spectacular.
I'll have to go with him next time.
Yeah. But yeah, we I think if you there's a certainly a Facebook page for Club Les Cingles de Ventoux. There's some invaluable information on there regarding sunrises, sunsets, and all the rest of it. And you'll get a feel for what other people are doing at certain times, and just build up a bit of information. They have a website as well, Les Cingles de Ventoux, and I think Richard, you pay, I think, is it €20?
It was 25, something like that.
25
euros.
euros.
Silly.
They'll give you a card that you get stamped at the foot of each climb, and then once at the top.
Foot, just once at the top. So it's not that formal. It's very trusting. You put your own timings on the back. You have to log the time of you starting each ascent and your time at the summit. I think they like these days to see a GPS Strava link as well, just as proof. But you'd be cheating yourself if you did anything else. I think it's a very trust-based thing.
And also with that, you get like a card to go on your seat post, don't you, to say that you've
completed it, that you're in the club.
No, there's a card that says you're competing.
Yeah.
And then you send your completed brevet card in with all the stamps and everything, and you get what looks like a little medal and a sticker or something, just to say you've completed it. So more of a tick in the box for us, really, just having said we'd done it. And I think you only had the brevet card because you'd applied for it a couple of years ago and had to put it off and put it off and put it off. Though I've had conversation with the lady at Club Les Cingles who said that Pete and I didn't have time to get the cards and everything organised, and she said if we send the live Strava, the Strava link from the day and supporting evidence. So what we did was we took a photo when we started, took a photo at the top on the ascent and bits and bats. So don't think that you have to get the brevet card and everything sorted before you go. There are ways around it, though it's best to, I think, email her and just let her know that, look, I haven't had time to get the card sorted. I am going to be doing it within the next couple of days, and then she's not just getting your information going, well, what's this? I don't know what it is. Just sort of tee it up ready. Any special kit choices? For me, I had a lightweight, almost a climber's jumper. I wouldn't say it's a full climber's jersey, rather. And in the morning I actually set off with arm warmers